The World Series is over and the offseason is here, and there's already been some big Twins news. We're going to dive right into it. This is Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello again, and welcome back to Locked On Twins. I'm your host, Brandon Warren. You can unfollow me on the tweets at Brandon_WARNE. Been watching the Twins for 30 years, been covering them for about half that long. And it's the offseason. We got a lot to cover here. But before we do, let's get Mr. Dave Brown in here. He has been covering ball since the summer of Sosa and McGuire in the BBWA for just about 13 years and got to vote for Joe Mauer for the Hall of Fame this last year. He's with us at Answer Dave Brown on the tweets. What up?
Hi, Brandon. It's always a weird feeling when the baseball season ends. It's like a lull or a down feeling, like, oh, it's over. I can't believe it's really here, but it's time for the off season.
Well, and Minnesota weather wasted no time. It poured rain this morning and now it's snowing. So just in time for Halloween, we will have a nice fresh coating of snow, but obviously an exciting time in Twins baseball as far as they're finally relevant again. They've got the ability to do things that matter. And before we get to that, Dodgers winning the World Series in 5. Stray thoughts you have from that? I thought, Freddie Freeman was terrific, and I don't think anybody is shocked by that. He does have a flair for the dramatic. Now, with that said, he had struggled in the postseason to that point. So I don't know that either of us saw it coming necessarily, but just a tremendous series for him. Yankees couldn't get out of their own way, and here we are.
I was surprised that the Yankees' defense was as poor as it was at the end, and that really cost them that last game pretty much. I mean, they could have taken it back to Los Angeles, the series, even if they'd made one fewer mistake. I think it was they would just, and there were a couple of mistakes that weren't even errors. Nobody covering first base. Just they're already a poor base running team. Mm-hmm. It doesn't look good on manager Aaron Boone as far as that goes, but I don't think there's any indication that they're going to replace him. And it was their first, it was their first appearance in the World Series in 15 years. So there is that. That is good, I guess, but it's a weird.
Here's to another 15 years. Cheers.
Yes. It might be. I wouldn't, if they don't sign Juan Soto,
right?
There's no guarantee that they're going to. I don't even know if they're the favorites. They're not going back. So
right.
I think people will probably get their wish there.
Yeah. Well, that is all fun and dandy, but some tough news coming down the pike here. Actually, half hour before we hit record, Alex Kirilloff has announced his retirement from the game of baseball, citing issues health-wise, obviously, but also just the inability to give to the game what is necessary for the fans and everything. He is 26, so obviously it's all the more frustrating for him and all the more just sad to see a player with such immense talent, one of the best Twins hitting prospects in the last however many years you want to go back. And the sun sets on his career, 799 at bats, 884 plate appearances. And you know what? It's a real shame to see the guy who I used to call Baby Votto, which again now looks pretty stupid. But, the way his numbers were in the minors, I thought this was going to be a big, big time deal. And you know what? Happy trails, Alex. We wish the best for you.
It was, it seems like a million years ago, but it was this season that Kirilloff hit triples in 3 consecutive games in April. His first month of the season was very encouraging. And, I remember considering him, maybe it was more hope than anything else that, we're finally going to get to see what Alex Kirilloff can do, because we've never really seen that when he's healthy. And unfortunately, that didn't last. He did, two things that struck me about his note on Instagram. I think he used the phrase "step away" from baseball. I mean, it was it was definitely a retirement note, but I don't even know if he used the word retire. But his first reference to it was "step away," which I don't know, gives him wriggle room to step back if he wanted. And there's that, and he mentioned pain specifically,
Yeah.
living pain of being injured all the time, or trying to come back from injury, or being susceptible to injury. And it was just, to be 26 years old, and to realize this is, it's a little surprising, but it's good for him. You don't. There's only so much you can give to the game before you get diminishing returns back, and it's not worth it anymore. He also, another thing that he mentioned, he implied that there are other ways to give back to the game and to stay involved. And it sounds like he's got a good head on his shoulders. I feel bad for him that he's obviously been going through physical and emotional stress over this for years, and his career hasn't turned out the way he wanted it to. But it sounds like he's got a good perspective on life, and I think we could all use that sometimes.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to say he went out on his own terms, but he also got to choose. In some ways, that's better than the game telling you you're finished. But if your body tells you you're finished, that's tough too. I do want to read the statement though before we head into our first break. After 9 seasons in professional baseball, I'm announcing my decision to step away from the game today. Baseball has always been a cornerstone of my life, starting with childhood in Western Pennsylvania, where I grew up as the son of a baseball coach. Spending countless hours in the batting cages, hitting hundreds of balls daily, fueled my dream of playing Major League Baseball. Living that dream has been an absolute joy, and this journey has been filled with unforgettable moments, challenges that led to growth, and lasting experiences that have enriched my life beyond measure. During my career, I've encountered numerous injuries, which led me to search for new ways to overcome the pain constantly. These challenges have taken a toll on me mentally and physically. Over time, I've realized that my passion for playing the game has shifted. Baseball demands an all-in approach, something I've brought to every season. However, I can no longer give it the total commitment it requires. I've always believed that playing this game requires 110% effort, and anything less would not do justice to my teammates, coaches, fans, or the game itself. I am deeply grateful for the support I've received from my wife, family, friends, teammates, coaches, staff, and fans throughout my career. There are so many people to thank, and I will personally thank them. Your belief in me made all the difference, and I will forever be grateful. I'd like to thank the Minnesota Twins for giving me opportunity. The things I was able to experience, I'll be able to take with me the rest of my life. As I navigate the recovery process for my current lower back injury, I'm excited to focus more on my family and explore new opportunities. While this next chapter won't take place on the field, my story is far from over. I thought, Dave, that it was interesting that he emphasized the lower back issue and didn't put so much into like the wrist stuff. So yeah. I think it's possible that if it weren't for this back issue, that maybe that I'm not trying to make a joke here, but that was the straw that broke the camel's back to send him on the path to retiring. Back injuries, man, everything goes through your back. Your wrist, it stinks to hit when you got a bad wrist, but it stinks to do everything in your life when you have a bad back.
It does. My mom had a chronically bad back, and it was the source of all kinds of pain and issues, and everything flowed from that, and sort of she lived her life around it, and it was really uncomfortable. You can't, I've been spared mostly back troubles, but when it happens, it's pretty debilitating, and it's there's you can't really be yourself. You're kind of at the mercy of the injury, and that's I have a feeling that's where he's coming from on that. It's just too, the little things that bothered him for here and there, definitely frustrating. But when you don't have your back healthy, you can't. He mentioned, you can't give 110% or 100% or whatever. And it's just not worth it to put yourself through that and put other people through expectations. He wanted obviously to wait for the World Series to end, and then he's been thinking about this for a while apparently, but to give the Twins as much time as necessary to move on from him as much as he is moving on from them.
Yeah, that's a good point. Forgot to mention at the top of the show, by the way, today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet and get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Let's take our first break here. We come back. We'll talk a little bit more about Alex Kirilloff and, maybe what the path is to replace him. Now, they've had some time to prepare for that just because he hasn't been around that much, but certainly it may change their offseason plan even just a slight bit. But again, first, our break. Well, we got to talk about PrizePicks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app, and it's got over 5 million active members. And it's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports because it's just you against the numbers. You just pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch your winnings roll in. You can be as risk averse or risk tolerant as you like. The multipliers will reflect that. So if you want to play a risky bunch of picks or a safe bunch of picks or a mix of the two, it's really a customizable daily fantasy sports experience, and you really got to check it out for yourself. Download that app and take a cruise because you can mix and match all different sorts of stuff. It is, again, really the most customizable DFS experience I can imagine. PrizePicks is the only real money daily fantasy sports platform with an injury insurance policy so that your lineups stay in play even if one of your players get injured. If your player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, PrizePicks keeps your picks live. So download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB, and you'll get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. Now, it's not that Alex Kirilloff was necessarily a guarantee to factor into the Twins' plans. Certainly arbitration eligible, so that would have been a consideration. And, they do have question marks at first base. They have question marks in the outfield, at least in terms of volume. They have lots of superfluous but similar players. And so it's going to be interesting to see how they navigate this post-Kirilloff world. But how much do you think it matters him not being on the roster compared to if he was on the roster this offseason?
Maybe a little bit. I don't think, like you said, Brandon, that they were particularly 100% counting on him being a huge factor. But he is, in terms of what he brings to the team, somewhat similar to Larnach and was to Kepler. Kepler's obviously his status is we kind of expect him to leave, but we'll see what free agency brings to him. That could change. Really, I think it all comes back to do the Twins want to roll again with Santana at first base? I think that's really the big the fulcrum for the offseason. Like what are they going to do there? And that's the player that they need to decide, well, if we're not going with him, what are we going to do? At this point in his career, especially with the way the season ended, I'm not sure that Kirilloff was a huge part of things, but it was, they still had a contracted, would they non-tender him? I don't know if it would have been so much money that it would have mattered that much, but what it does is it gives them certainty that, well, we know he's not going to be here now. So it is a little bit of a break for that reason, that they don't have to wonder. I think there are other players that will factor in more to how the Twins go about this offseason, but at least Kirilloff is not kind of hanging over them. Well, what do we do with Alex? So they don't have to worry about that now.
Well, and just imagine the outcry publicly if they would have non-tendered him knowing he was going to retire, but he hadn't announced it yet. And what are you doing? What are you doing? You know, I just think that for whatever reason, my worldview is colored by that, even though I don't necessarily think it should be, but it's what I see online.
Yeah, well, people have, they're ready for outrage or for whatever reason. So it's good. It's for bookkeeping purposes, for moving on purposes. It's good that this comes now.
Well, and for 40-man purposes, they have some more clarity as they have to add some guys. And we'll actually probably have an episode on that pretty soon, too, because Aaron Gleeman of The Athletic wrote an article about what players he thinks they will add, may add, and then whoever else is in consideration. And having an extra spot may not mean they put an extra guy on there, but it does give them more wiggle room and room to maneuver as the offseason goes on. So if we look at first base as an internal proposition, you've got Jose Miranda, and that's about it. You could, I've heard some people say, and this is just fans, not anybody with actual pull in the building, that Royce Lewis should play first base, which to me, I don't know about that. But you could also, in my opinion, go, move Matt Wallner in. That helps with your glut of outfielders, especially because you're going to have Emmanuel Rodriguez, Trevor Larnach, who knows, probably not Max Kepler, but maybe Byron Buxton. There's going to be enough outfielders to get by. Would you, if you go internally, be okay with Jose Miranda and blank? How much confidence do you have in handing that job to him, knowing that if he's healthy, he's probably going to hit and can probably handle the position, but neither of the health thing for him is never guaranteed?
No, for sure. I don't know. It's I wouldn't be, based on, we talk about the certainty that Kirilloff retiring brings the Twins lots of uncertainty with what exactly is up with Miranda. His second half, he appeared to be bothered by some kind of injury, but whatever it is, he's going to have to get with a new hitting coach, and hopefully he has already, and at least over a Zoom, and started to sort that out. If you had asked me in May or June, well, would you be comfortable with Miranda at first base? I would have said maybe. Now I don't know. And I think if you look at the rest of the Twins, the uncertainty on the rest of the infield, like what do you got with Correa at short, and what do you have when he's not playing short? What's going on with Lewis over at third? Is Brooks Lee? It looks to be Brooks Lee's best position is second, at least for now. But is that the way they're going? Is that true? It's not much of a sample. Long story short, it would be really nice to settle first base with a home run kind of a thing, rather than we've got concerns about what's going on at third, potential concerns with Correa when he's not in the lineup second base, with all the uncertainty around the rest of the infield. That was the great thing about Santana, that he was the guy you could depend on at first. And now he's going to be 39. And kind of ended the season okay, but still there was some fluctuations there offensively, and some things that, he's not going to be able to do this forever. It just kind of reminded us of that.
Yeah.
That's why I would rather dive into free agency or make a trade for a steadier hand. Christian Walker.
You know what? Christian Walker is a free agent, by the way. I think we may have said trade before, but he's a free agent.
Right. He's other than Alonso, not going to be in their stratosphere. I don't think he would come here anyway. He's got 2 or 3 places probably on his mind, and they some people think, well, that's probably going to take all offseason to do. It would be nice if the Twins could strike not only decisively but quickly and knock down first base. And I think a good defensive first baseman in the vein of Santana would be helpful. And there's a couple, we've mentioned a couple of guys who are there. They would be expensive, but Christian Walker in free agency, or Paul Goldschmidt maybe on a 1-year deal with incentives, and that would be terrific. Either one of those guys would be great, and I think they would help the team a lot. Are the Twins in position right now to make those kinds of financial commitments? It doesn't seem like they are, and I certainly wouldn't expect them to be. So, we might have to be happy with Jose Miranda at first base based on that.
Yeah, I mean, if all things considered, if the Twins don't add, they're in a better position than other years without adding, if that makes sense. Like, if they were to have an absolute 0% percentile offseason, they're about as well set up as you can be to at least attempt that. With that said, it's not going to excite anybody, and it would really stink. I would
like to keep Wallner. He's I think he's a little bit above average right fielder. Certainly his arm is nice to have in right field. I'm not crazy about how Larnach plays first base. And Miranda caught, he didn't have great range, but he caught the ball well. When he got to, and he made plays on before the second half of the season anyway. So over at third base. So in theory, he could do it. In theory, Wallner could do it. Larnach maybe could do it. I think they should aim a little higher based on what the rest of the infield looks like.
Well, I've got an idea, and I'll share it with you after we take our final break. How does that sound?
Yep.
If buttons would start working here.
The buttons have retired, like Alex Kirilloff. They've given up. The buttons have a back problem, and they're done.
All right. We are so back, you guys. Get ready to tackle the NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game and you want to check out the latest live stats, live play-by-play, and so much more, you can do it on the same place that you place your bets. That's right. That's the FanDuel Sports app. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today, or that, again, like I said, that FanDuel app. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Yeah, all my buttons are sticking. I don't know what's going on with that. But
are you drinking a soda pop again on the job? You spilled some popcorn butter?
If the Twins look to the outside, and I thought about this, and I think you might hate it, but what about Anthony Rizzo?
I hate it.
What about Anthony Rizzo? I know they don't need a left-handed hitter, but if the price was low, and again, you're looking for someone who can mix and match with Jose Miranda, he's going to be a good vibes guy, going to be a good leadership guy. There's a non-zero chance that he outplays Paul Goldschmidt for half the money next year. Rizzo will be 35.
Yeah, I suppose it's non-zero.
I mean, other options for super old guys, Justin Turner, Carlos Santana, Yuli Gurriel. I don't think they're going to go that route. Mark Canha is 36. And then, what's left of Jose Abreu, which as a minor league deal, I guess I could see, just, hey, bring him back to camp and see if anything's changed. But with that said, I think all of that's aiming below the level you'd like to be at. But to me, I think Rizzo could be interesting-ish. He's got a $17 million option with a $6 million buyout. So in short, the Yankees would have to say, we're going to pay you $11 million to stay or $6 million to scram.
Well, I don't think he's hit a home run since June, and he's not going to hit any anytime soon either. But
No.
I think it goes, his power drop maybe goes beyond. When did he get hit? When did he hurt himself? I don't know, but I worry that, he's kind of gone past. I mean, theoretically, sure, and the Yankees did just go to the World Series with Anthony Rizzo, although I don't know how much they went to the World Series because of Anthony Rizzo.
You're where the kids say a guy might be cooked.
He might be cooked. He might be cooked more than I think. I would rather bring back Santana at that point than.
Okay,
I guess that's an option too. They could bring him back for another hallway Pepsi machine picture. He's got one more year to go, maybe.
No, the Twins would still. The Twins would have been playing last night if Carlos Santana would have showed up to spring training on time. Or no, early, not on time. He was on time.
He was on time. He was really on time. He was extremely on time.
You know what, though? Sorry, I'm not trying to derail your point. Justin Turner is someone to watch. The Twins have had interest in him before. He played a little third base this year, and they wouldn't be wanting him to necessarily do any of that. But it was just nice little thing to have in your bag of tricks in an absolute emergency.
It took him a while to get going. But by the end of the season, he was hitting well.
Plus in back-to-back seasons. Now the difference there is an 800 OPS with the Red Sox was a 114 in 2023, and then you split time between the Blue Jays and Mariners for a 114. That comes out to a 737. Slugging dips under 400, but nothing you really say about him offensively doesn't already apply to Carlos Santana. Again, I don't know defensively that he's even close to him, but he does give you that right-handed bat that can hit lefties that, I don't know how much of a need that is compared to years before, but it's still there. That might be the ace in the hole is the Twins will say, listen, we got a team that's close. You are definitely wanting to play on a team that's, going to be in contention at this point in your career. Might be an easy sell.
Yeah, you might be able to sell him on that. You wouldn't necessarily want him to play defense anywhere at this point. So, and then you start locking up your DH, and you have to factor Buxton in and Correa and Lewis perhaps sometimes, and then it gets kind of strange. But yeah, depending on how the pieces on the board move in the offseason, that could be a guy. Justin Turner could be a guy that you have as like a backup corner. But again, these guys are all getting really old, and they're not going to be able to do this forever. So
right,
that's that doesn't solve what do we do every day at first base? That's a different question we're trying to answer with Justin Turner, I think, at this point than what's first base going to be, because I don't think that's the way you want to go there. But would I want him on my team? Yeah, maybe. Absolutely. Possibly. Sure.
What's the most off the wall solution though of the ones that I listed that you'd be into? Because I think did the Astros chase away Jose Abreu because he couldn't play anymore, or do you think he was causing any issues? Like, if there was any reason to believe he had anything left at the cost he would be at, the cost profile, that would be probably the way to go.
Abreu had been giving signs. Great clubhouse guy, by the way.
Yeah,
couldn't go wrong there. You would be getting, I don't know about Nelson Cruz, clubhouse guy, but up there, a guy that people certainly respect. Mm-hmm. That's not an issue. But he has been giving signs for the past few seasons that he's kind of running out of gas. Mm-hmm. And whether it's splits or taking time to get going, hitting wise, or power losses, his isolated power and all that stuff, and some other signs about how his approach had changed as he's gotten older. He's sort of telling us that the end was near. So I don't think there's anything left there. I think there's probably something left with Santana. There's probably something left with Justin Turner. And I say that just because they're coming off seasons where they showed us that they had something left. It's been a while now since Jose Abreu has showed us anything. I don't think that there's anything left there.
Let's assume they're bargain bin shopping. Would you take Abreu or Yuli Gurriel?
Well, Gurriel would come with fewer expectations and probably less money. He played pretty well for the Royals. I didn't look at the fine print, but that was a good emergency. Vinny Pasquantino's hurt. What do we do? Well, we got to make a trade for a guy, even though the trading deadline's over, but he's in the minor leagues, so he's available. It was a creative solution for the Royals. I would say he might have something left better than Abreu. But again, I want the Twins to settle first base, not give us more questions with first base.
Settle first base, not settle at first base.
Yes, they want. I want the answers settled. Well, I don't want them to settle.
The thing that is settled is the concrete at Target Field. The thing that is settled is this episode is over. By the way, fun note from Brian McTaggart on our way out, Astros beat reporter for MLB.com. The 2022 Astros are the only team in the last 11 World Series to clinch the championship at home. How do you like that?
That's a funny coincidence. It's just one of those things.
Well, he's Dave Brown. I'm Brandon Moore, and we're signing off. We're not going to be gone long, though. We do have another episode here coming for you on your Halloween. But thank you for joining us. This has been Locked On Twins, and we'll see ya
tomorrow. Later.
Tomorrow.
We'll see you later, but also maybe today.
Yeah. Bye.
Mm-hmm.